Okay, let's get right into it. This is a system architecture briefing for the Reinvention Roadmap Ignition Kit. Now, this whole thing is built for one very specific, very high-stakes moment: the instant your career gets disrupted. We're not talking about long-term strategy here. We're talking about an immediate, structured response system.
And this is exactly why the entire system is engineered to solve for the vulnerability of that initial window. Because, when you don't have a plan, a default failure pattern almost always kicks in. It's a pattern that, honestly, high performers are especially prone to, and it's called the spiral.
So the spiral, it starts with this flurry of reactive, kind of panicked activity. You know what I'm talking about, right? The frantic resume updates, the endless scrolling on job boards, all these actions that feel productive, but are really just driven by urgency, not by actual intent.
Now, here's the insidious part of the spiral. While your head's down in all this private prep work, your external visibility just plummets. The market can't see you, your network can't see you, you effectively go dark, right at the very moment you need to be seen the most.
And this all leads to the final, and frankly, the most dangerous stage: identity collapse. Without any external feedback, without any forward motion, your confidence just erodes. Your professional stories start to sound defensive, maybe even apologetic. And look, the problem isn't a lack of skill or capability. It's the total absence of a stabilizing structure right when you need it.
Okay, so that's the problem. Now let's talk about the core principle that's designed to counteract it. This isn't about finding motivation. It's about mechanics. It's about replacing that default failure state with an engineered success state. And the difference is just stark. The spiral is all about overthinking, hiding away in private preparation, and waiting for this perfect clarity that, let's be honest, never actually shows up. The ignition system is designed to force the exact opposite: controlled movement, immediate external signals, and the deliberate installation of momentum.
And this right here, this is the central axiom of the entire architecture. The system operates on one non-negotiable idea: you cannot wait to feel clear before you act. You have to install forward motion first. That's the prerequisite for clarity to even have a chance to show up.
So how does it actually do that? Let's get into the system's architecture. We're going to break down the core components, and maybe more importantly, the specific failure modes each one is built to prevent. It all follows this really deliberate, really rapid sequence: reset, define, re-anchor, plant, and lock. Each step is intentionally lightweight, It's designed so you can execute it under pressure, without having all the answers. The goal isn't certainty, the goal is just dignified forward movement.
The very first component is the rapid reset. Honestly, you should think of it like a circuit breaker. Its only job is to interrupt that emotional and cognitive storm, just to make sure your first critical decisions aren't contaminated by panic or bitterness or that false sense of urgency.
Next up is constraint definition, and this is an absolutely critical preventative measure. Before you do anything, the system makes you define your non-negotiable guardrails around your income, your energy, your boundaries. This is specifically designed to stop you from reactively jumping into a role that just recreates the burnout you probably just escaped. Then we move to identity stabilization. This component directly fights back against that identity collapse we talked about earlier. The whole objective here is to build a simple, coherent story of who you are and what you do right now in the present tense, so you can communicate it clearly without any apology or defensiveness.
Okay, signal deployment. This is where the system forces a huge shift from just thinking internally to taking external action. This part prioritizes small, visible moves that signal your competence and forward motion to the market. The key is to demonstrate momentum, not just prepare for it behind closed doors.
And finally, there's momentum lock-in. You can think of this as the system's fail-safe. Once you've achieved that initial ignition, this piece introduces a simple, short-term rhythm of action. It's a cadence that prevents you from drifting back into paralysis or overthinking. It's what makes those early gains actually stick.
So, those are the components. But what actually makes them work when you're under pressure? Well, the architecture really relies on two key strategic levers. These are its core mechanics.
The first lever is signaling, and we need to be really clear about this. In this system, signaling is not self-promotion. It's a strategic tool that does two jobs at once. It restores your visibility to the market, and, just as importantly, it sends a powerful psychological signal back to you that you are in motion.
The second lever is speed. And again, this distinction is absolutely crucial. Speed is not a call to rush or to be sloppy. It is an intentional design constraint, one that's engineered to solve for a very specific set of real-world conditions. See, the entire system is built to function when you're under emotional load, when you have limited time, and when you definitely don't have the luxury of perfect answers. That's why speed is a feature, not a bug. It lets the system install momentum before those predictable enemies, doubt, inertia, overanalysis, can dig in and take hold. So what's the payoff? What happens when all these components and levers click together? The system is designed to replace that default state of paralysis with a new state of controlled, intentional movement. And this just lays it all out, doesn't it? On the one side, you see exactly what it's designed to prevent: the spirals, the loss of visibility, the reactive decisions, the identity collapse. But on the other, you see what it makes possible: a restored sense of control, a clear narrative, immediate market visibility, and a kind of confidence that comes from action, not just from hope. It builds a stable bridge to that longer, harder work of reinvention.
So we'll end on this question. The core idea of this entire system is really a reframe. It suggests that in those moments of intense disruption, control isn't some feeling you have to go out and find. It's an architecture that you deliberately and rapidly install.